Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Fun Stuff Friday and Arrtx has sent me this wonderful set of acrylic markers. They are water-based. They are brush tip. They are really opaque so you don't see through them very much. Some of the lighter colors you can see the lines a little bit through them, but they're actually a really nice set of markers. I don't do acrylic markers a lot. I normally use acrylic markers for coloring my husband's 3D prints when I need to color those. But I definitely wanted to give these a try. So we're going to take them out and we're going to take a look at them. It does come with a little sticker sheet that has the numbers on them. The full swatch is on the back. It does come in 2 trays. Both are quite sturdy. This is a very sturdy tray. That's the top tray, and then the bottom tray is the rest of the box. Another thing that I really like about the packaging is inside each tray there's a little slat for the pen. I guess it's where it slips onto things to sit, and it just sits right in there and holds it in so it doesn't go flopping around um, in the box very much, which is really kind of cool. And of course I put all my stickers on the wrong ones, so you know trying to turn them once you have them in those slats can be a little more difficult. But the stickers just go on your end here. I think they have it set, of course, I have it set here right after their information. These do not need to be shaken. I was so excited about that. They are and they snap on pretty tight. They are a full brush marker. They do not need to be shaken or anything else. They're just ready to go right out of the box, which is fantastic. No activation required. Awesome. Okay, but we've got a swatch chart here. We're going to swatch them out, and then we're going to color some of the small parts of the swatch chart, and we're going to see how the markers do. So we're going to move these over, and now these are really large swatch areas, so I'm not too concerned about whether or not you're going to see it on the close-up camera. So this one here, well, let's actually do that with something that has some sort of 0, 0. I can't find my pen anywhere for some reason. Oh, I have some gel pens here. Maybe that'll work better. So this one is 0, 0, which is white. And as you can see, it is very opaque. If I go over the lines, you can see through it a little bit, but it does fill in pretty good. But it's white, so it's hard to see. All right, the next one is this one here, which is number 2. Now there's no names on these, but like I said, you can look at the swatch on the back and put the numbers on. So let's put number 2 here. And it's a nice cream tone. And as you can see, it just whoosh, 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 and it's full. I'm not getting the lines that I typically get with acrylic markers. It's really smooth. And you're not seeing that very well. So I will switch you over to the close-up camera just so that you guys can see a little bit better. There, that's better. All right, now for number 3. So number 3. Now you can do this all sorts of ways. So I typically go one way and then I go the other way just to make sure that it's full. But you don't need to do that. These don't seem to be streaking as much as most acrylic markers that I've used streak. So it's one of the reasons why I don't like acrylic markers is because they streak quite a bit. This is number 5. And as you can see, there's numbers that are not in this set. So that tells me that they have a larger set, or they'll be coming out with a larger set at some point. Pretty colors though. That was a lovely green yellow kind of color. So we've got a creamy white, a cream, a yellow. That looks more like a chartreuse or a green yellow. This one here is number 12. So we've jumped quite a few numbers there. And it's a orange yellow. So it's a pale orange kind of color. I'll also do the next one with just the, I'll do part of it with the full, and then I'll show you how well the tip does for drawing lines, because I haven't been doing that and I forgot. It's been a while since I did anything with markers, especially swatched. So this one here is number 13. And I just love how well these cover. So again, we're going to go across. Ooh, that's a pretty color. It's a little bit darker than number 12. And then if you use the tip, you can get a very, very thin line. If you press a little bit harder, you get a thicker line, like so. And then you can dot as well. So you can do a lot of different things with the brush tip. Now this is number 15. Ooh, nice creamy brown. I'm getting quite a bit of shadow there, so I'm going to turn that. Don't like the shadow. I think the light's dying. There, that's better. Still going to get a shadow from the other one, but my little light is dying. But it's been on for a while, so. And that's number 12, so that was number 15. Now we're going into number 17. Make sure. Yes, number 17. Now, as you can see, the brush itself flexes, but when you lift it up, it immediately goes back to its original shape. The only thing I have concern for with the type of brush it is whether or not it's going to last, or if that tip is going to wear off with using it on toothier paper. This one's number 18. This is not on marker paper at all. This is just my regular cardstock. Ooh, that's pretty. A lovely orange. And it seems that as long as you move fairly quickly when it's wet, you can eliminate those lines and create a very smooth surface. And then this one here is number 21. Which is a pale pink. One of the concerns I have with the nib is, like I said, I use the acrylic markers specifically for working on my husband's 3D prints, and they're very, very rough because they are printed plastic, and you start off with a filament, which is just a string of plastic. The machine melts it and deposits it to create what you're doing, either in lines or whatnot. So it can cause a bit of a ridge that you're coloring over top of, and I worry that these are going to end up tearing off. So it might not be one that I would use for Bob's prints. This one here is number 25, and it's more of a salmon pink. Almost red, but not quite. And these do dry a little bit more of the color than they go down. They go down with a bit of a white tint to them. Like so. Alright, the next one is number 28, which is our red. And it is really red. That is a pretty, pretty red. The great thing about acrylic markers is they don't bleed through the paper. So if you wanted to do coloring in a coloring book, I would definitely suggest these markers for that because of the fact that they do cover very nicely and they don't bleed through. So if we flip that over, there is no bleed through whatsoever, even on the red. It shows a little bit moist until it dries, and then you can't even see that. Alright, the next color is number 33. And as you can see, we're jumping from 28 to 33. We jump from 5 to 12. So there is obviously other colors available, perhaps in a bigger set or a different set than this one. to build that setup. Now in the darker colors, you will start seeing the lines a little bit more prominently. And you just go over it the opposite direction. Now I have noticed when I go in this direction, you can see that white a lot more from the acrylic paint. And hopefully that will dry out. Otherwise it's going to bug me. Alright, so the next one is number 36. And if you use the whole brush when you're coloring large areas, sometimes you can avoid the lines altogether, but I always go over it this way just to blend them in. Now it says that you don't need to activate them, but I'm seeing that with the blues that there's a bit of white coming through instead of just the blue. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake and see if that helps stop doing that. There's no roller ball or anything in it. I guess I should put the number down. This is number 38. There's no roller ball or anything in them, so it's just paint coming down the brush. But if you give it a bit of a shake, it will blend that paint up a little bit. So you're not just getting that white paint coming down. Yeah, that helped. I'm not getting a lot of that white paint on my overrun there. That's better. And there is our dark blue. And that is it for the first layer. So now we're going to go into the second layer here. And we're going to start with this one here, which is number 40. I'm going to shake up the dark colors especially. And all I'm just doing is just shaking it up a couple of shakes before I take the cap off. Now with acrylic markers, it is suggested, and I understand why with acrylic markers, because the acrylic paint can settle, but it is suggested that you store them on their side. So I would definitely keep these in the box for storage. That's a nice, really dark blue there as well. All right. This one is number 45. Very pretty. Very pretty lilac color. Now I'm seeing a lot of the paint coming through as well on this one. And that just may be something that you have to look at and deal with as you're coloring and hope that it dries. You may be able to, like I said, shake it out and get that white to not come through. I may not have shaken it enough. or there may be already that much paint um, in the nib. Now I'm not going to do the other way, and we're going to see if this dries um, without any lines in it. So I'm not going to go back up, I'm just going to go across. It may be that the darker ones don't like the up and down and back and forth. So this one here is number 50. Oh, what number was that? 47. That was number 47. This is number 50. And this one I'm going to do the opposite way. I'm just going to go up and down. Except to clean up the edges, because I'm trying not to go over the lines. Another thing that you have to be careful with acrylic pens is if you have a book that the paint or the pigment of the ink comes off, or if your ink lifts from your printed works, the acrylic marker will pick up some of that ink. So if you're using white on it, you will find that there's black on your white. So be careful with that. So it does seem to work better going from side to side instead of up and down, and eliminating those lines. Alright, so that was number 51. It seems to have a good selection of brown. This is number 53. So you could definitely do a pretty good landscape with it. I don't know how well the few colors that it has for pinks, how well it will do for doing flowers and that sort of thing. But it does have plenty of greens. So this one is number 55. And I know I could have swatched these and recorded it and sped it up, but with my tummy being a little burnt, it's much better today. Just letting you know. It is way better today. But it still gets irritated every once in a while. So, because I wanted to do the video today and really didn't want to sit and do the swatch, I figured I would just swatch them with you all since there's only 30 of them, so it's not very many. So that's number 56, another really nice light green. So we've got a yellow green and a light green. This is number 59. And it's a really nice medium tone gray. Green, not gray. Green. Very, very nice. Lovely color. And then we have a dark green here as well, which is number 61. And we're getting to the bottom of the sheet here, so I'm just going to go up and down so that you guys can see what I'm doing without moving it out of your view. That's a pretty color. And then we have this teal green here. This is number 65, which is a blue-green color. Make sure that you don't hold your pen over top of your work when you pull the lid off, just in case it decides that it's going to pool in your lid. It hasn't to me yet, but it's always best to keep that practice up and not open your lids over top of your work. I have done that with a alcohol marker, and yeah, it didn't turn out well. This one here is number 91, and this is a metallic. So this one here is gold. And I'll show you after I'm finished the swatch how shiny this is. It is actually really shiny. And go this way as well. Just to fill it all in. Now if you go over it really, really gently, really lightly, without putting any pressure on it, you can move some of the color you've already laid down around and smooth it out. So that's number 91. This one here is number 92, and this one is a silver, also a metallic. Really pretty, pretty color. Now Arrtx has several different types of markers, pencils, and stuff like that available. You can of course find them on Amazon as well as on their own website. Of course, if you just go to arrtx.com, you should be able to find them. I will try to leave a link directly to their website in the description below the video. Now this one here is number 95. And it reminds me of a bronzy kind of color. Not quite brown, but not quite black all at the same time. So as you can see, there's not really any gray in this set. But there is a really dark gray brown kind of color. I think that's the closest we have to gray in this set. And this one here is number 98, which is black. And like I said, these are a water-based product. So if you're going to go over top of your pencils with this, make sure that your pencils are able to withstand having water on them. Otherwise, especially with the white, you will pick up the color and transfer it somewhere else. Make sure that your pencils are water resistant. If they're not water resistant, make sure that you blend with your Caran d'Ache blender or with something heavily waxed, like a white Prismacolor, something like that, where you're not going to pick up that paint. All right, so I'm going to switch it over to the main camera here so you can see all of the colors together. And there we have all the colors. And like I said, the metallics are very, very shiny. They're very, very metallic. So we've got some nice yellows and cream tones here, some orange tones here into our pinks and our red. We've got plenty of blue, a little bit of purple, a little bit of brown, plenty of green, a seafoam type of color, as well as two metallics. And then we have our dark gray, our dark warm gray, and then black, as well as a white. Now, those colors on their own, I'm not sure if I can color an entire picture with them, but we will try to color at least one or two of the aspects down here. So I'm going to grab the light area here, and we're going to start with our pink. And with acrylic markers, because of the fact that they are very opaque, it is always best to start with your lightest color and work into your dark colors. Now I'm going to put this down, and then I'm going to take our number 25, which is the salmon color, and I'm going to add that in, but I'm not going to put the lid back on this one right away, because I'm going to try to blend them. Can you blend acrylic markers? Absolutely. As long as your acrylic is wet, you should be able to blend another color into it. Okay, so for example, this one here that I just did is still wet, so I can go like this and blend that into it and drag it out with the lighter color, like so. Just blend this out a little bit more. Which dulls it quite a bit. So I'm just going to put in a little bit more there. Now another way that you can do this, of course, is you can pick it up off of the marker and put it in from that marker so that it mixes with that light color. Another thing that you can do is you can put it down on the palette, and I should have grabbed some water, but you can put it down on the palette and pick it up with your water brush. I'm going to grab one that has water in it, hopefully. This one. Nope, I thought it had water in it. This one? Yeah, this one has a little bit. Okay, so you can pick it up with your water brush. Now this does add more water to it, So it does make things a little bit more fluid. So it does give it a little bit more translucence because it is wet. Now we can do the same thing over here. Pick up this one. Basically, I'm just adding more water to it because it, of course, becomes dry on the palette. And put that down, and then I'll pick up some of this and then put that down. And that's just how you can transform the, I didn't have you on the close-up camera, but that's just how you can transform the acrylic paint into a water paint. These are water-based, so you can easily move them around with water. So for example, I put that down, and then I can add this here, and put my lid on, and add this one here. Like so. And then take my water brush and just move that around. Just have to be careful how much water comes out of your water brush. This one here does a lot of water. So I'm just going to pick some of that up. With my paintbrush. Rinse it off. Try to get as much of the water out of it as you can. And then do it again on the other petal here. So we're going to put down our halfway hands. So we put down our light tone, and then we're going to put down our dark tone, our darker color for our shadow area. And it doesn't have to be, extremely neat. It just needs to be in most of the right areas. And then we're going to take our water brush, and we're just going to spread it. Like so. So that's one way that you can utilize the brushes with water to make them a little bit more opaque. You can also use them to color an entire area. For example, without the brush. So for example, we can color in this little fella here. Now, as you can see, I have covered up all of the detail. All of the detail in. It's not tipped the right way. That's why I'm not doing it on camera. Sorry, guys. I've covered up all of the detail on the bug. And then we're going to put it back in. And like I said, work from light to dark with these because of the fact that they are opaque. So if you were to put down your dark marker and then go over it with the light marker, it would take up your dark marker. So you just go in and you reestablish the areas that were dark. On Mr. Boogie Boo. And this black covers really, really nicely. So if you're doing a night sky or something, this black would definitely give you a very, very dark sky. And like you can see, I can do very, very, very tiny thin areas. Depending upon how much pressure I put on the nib. If you don't put a lot of pressure on the nib, it doesn't flatten out, and you can use the very, very tip of it. Alright, so let's do a blue butterfly, just because I want to. Now, I'm going to show you what happens when you go dark to light. So I'm going to go through here with the dark colors. Now again, like I said, it's going to take over those lines. So if you're worried about the lines and trying to maintain them, use a lighter color, because the thicker colors are going to take over those lines. So as you can see, if I go over that with the light blue, it literally takes over that entire dark blue. And just creates a blue area instead of giving you your dark and your light. It just takes it all over. And gives you a flat color. Now if you were to go through, you might be able to reestablish some of it, but it's not going to look right. Because your black lines are gone now. So we're just going to do our own thing here. Because now my black lines are gone, so I can't follow them. So I've got the two blues on there, and now I'm going to put a white down for the black back of the butterfly. And white does take a couple of coats to completely white out everything. So if you've got something that's heavily blacked, it will take a little bit to cover it up. But you can definitely do it. Now, the only thing that you need to watch for is if you cover over something, so you cover over that, and you look at your pen and it's got, some black on it. Here I thought it was under the other one. So you just wipe it off. And as you can see, that black streak got less and less as I moved down. So those are the things that you need to be careful with them, is make sure that your ink is solidified on your page. If you are coloring on something that does move with water, make sure that you seal it first. Like I said, these are a water-based marker, a water-based acrylic. They don't need to be activated. They don't need to be shaken, anything like that. They do have some really nice colors, and do have lots of different options on how to use them. You can use them with a brush. You can use them a brush, marker, pen, water brush. You can also use them with a paintbrush. For example, if I wanted to, I could, let's take this one here. If I wanted to, I could do this and take this like so, and then say I want to add this orange to it. Now I can take my brush and feather that in like so, so that you get the gradients. And that wasn't the best one to show you with because they're really close. So let's do this in the red. Okay, so we're going to put down an edge of red. Like that. And then we're going to put down our salmon. And say I want that salmon to go into the red there like that. So what I can do is I can take a brush and I can brush those two wet edges together and bring them together like so. So if you're using this to do, say, a sunset or, anything like that, you can just take a dry brush and brush them together. So again, with, say, the blue, put down the dark blue. And say I want to put which one was it? Number 65. Let's say I want to put the teal green into it. But I want to blend that in. So we just take the brush and we brush them together. If you find that it doesn't give you as much as you want, you just put down another layer. And you just brush them together. Now I am finding that the paper is starting to peel a little bit. So that's another thing to watch for, is getting it too moist and having the paper peel. So be careful of that. Make sure that you don't put too much down and wet your paper too much. Alright guys, so that is my thoughts so far on the Arrtx acrylic markers. They have curled the paper up a little bit, and that is because they are a water-based marker. If you lay them down too thick, you can end up peeling up your paper a little bit. They are something that you can utilize water with, and they are a water-based marker. So for example, if you're going to color, say you're going to color this purple, like so. Now we know that the Brute Funerals are not water resistant, so we know that they move with a water product. Say I forget that they're a water, not a water resistant product, and I decide I want to do the edges of this in white. And after I get the color built up on it to where I would normally stop, and then I decide I want the edges to be white. And I take the white marker and I start adding white. Now as you can see, the further along I get, the more purple my white becomes. And that's because it's picking up that pencil. It's picking up the color of that pencil. So you have to be really careful. And I'll show you here. You can't see it very well. But if you aren't careful, you'll end up with too much of the color pencil on your marker, and it can change that marker without if you don't clean it off. So if you're using something that isn't water resistant, it is going to bleed through a little bit because the water has activated it if you don't blend it. It will also pick up on the marker if you don't blend it. They blend together quite nicely. I was able to blend them directly with each other as well as with a water brush. They do cover your black, so if you're deciding that you don't like the lines on, say you don't like the lines on this flower here, you can dull them down with one coat, and with, depending upon your ink, you can dull them down to almost nothing with just a couple of coats. Like so. Now I will warn you that if your printer ink pulls up with a water product, it will get on your white as well. So, alright guys, with that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. I hope this has educated you on the Arrtx acrylic markers. They do come with a number swatch on the back of the markers, as well as little stickers that you can put on the markers for your numbering system. They are very opaque. You it's really difficult to see through them except for maybe some of the lighter colors. And even they have the ability to cover up a lot of things. They are blendable. You can easily blend them with each other, either directly as marker to marker, or you can blend them with a brush. You can utilize a watercolor brush to move them, and they will pick up your pencil if your pencil is not water resilient. So if you're going to use these over top of your colored pencils, make sure that your color is water resilient, or B, that you have completely blended and coated your pencil with a Caran d'Ache blender, because I like the Caran d'Ache because it does give us a really good coating of wax that allows us to have that water resistance, I guess I should say. All right, guys, with that, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. I will leave the link to Arrtx's website below the video. I will also leave you a link directly to the Arrtx markers in Amazon. With that, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. I hope to see you tomorrow for our collection selection Saturday, where we will be selecting a new set of colored pencils to work with Ruth Saunderson's new book, Grayscale Fantasy. All right, guys, with that, have a wonderful day, and of course, enjoy coloring and each other. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.